Hey everybody, what's going on? Slim Anthem here, and welcome back to another episode of Anthem News. And this week I got some more insight on Call of Duty because I had a chance to play the campaign and play the multiplayer in Zombies. So I got to get a little taste of everything. So I'm here to give you my final thoughts as to what I think about the game. And honestly, I actually regret buying the game in the first place. I had the opportunity to play the campaign, and I just felt like the story was very rushed. On top of that, too, it just felt like there was a lot of issues with the plot, and it kind of left me with a lot of questions in the end. So I'm like, okay, so what now? Also, with the way the campaign ended, spoilers by the way, I was not happy with that ending because Makarov gets away, and Soap ends up getting killed by Makarov, which is pretty canon with his character, unfortunately. But I was pretty upset with how that ending turned out because we didn't really get to finish the conflict with Makarov. Although the campaign was pretty rushed, you can't really make a big bad guy like Makarov. You can't really start his character arc from the very beginning of the game and then expect it all to be resolved in the final act. It would have to be a much longer game in order to accomplish that. And that's why I liked the original Modern Warfare series, because his story extended as far back as COD 4, but you really first get to know about him in MW2. And then going on forward, that's when he becomes a big deal. But the fact that they keep pushing this on this whole series, it makes me think that either mid-release of this game, like sometime during a season, they'll probably finally come back into conflict with Makarov and then maybe kill him then. But it also kind of seems like at the same time that they're trying to push this into a fourth game, which will not be great. It's not a great look for Call of Duty. Also, in one of the post-credit scenes for the game, Captain Price kills General Shepard, which I guess that's nice because we know Shepard's a bad guy and it's good to write him out, but he's also kind of a big deal too because he betrays you. That's what he's notorious for, is betraying you. But you don't really have that betrayal that plays out the same way as it did in the original MW2. So here he's just like, what are you doing in my office, Price? And then Captain Price pulls out his gun and shoots him, and that's it. So there were really no issues with General Shepard in this game. At one point too, in the game, you rescue him because he's taken prisoner by Makarov, and he even tells Price as a warning at the end of that mission that if he crosses him, there will be consequences. Could the consequences play out after his death? I don't know. But yeah, all in all, I just felt like the campaign was not great. The open combat missions that were like half of the campaign missions, those were interesting. I admire the fact that they went there and tried to create missions that allow you to approach the game in different ways, but I thought the execution was pretty flawed. I did not find the campaign overall enjoyable. The multiplayer experience was probably the best so far out of everything else in that game. However, there was still quite a bit of issues with the game because the multiplayer gameplay that I encountered when I was playing the actual game was much different from the beta. Because in the beta, I actually had a lot of fun. The graphics were really good. The sound effects, the gameplay, everything seemed better than MW2. But it's like they just did away with that because the graphics when I was playing, they were not loading in properly. It just all felt very awkward. The sound effects were still okay, but the actual gameplay as far as shooting and running and all that stuff, and the graphics were the most distracting thing in the game because it would literally take me until midway through the match for the graphics to finally render properly. And I noticed that with certain maps that seemed to be especially a problem, like Favela and Rundown. Those two were probably the most frustrating. They'll probably patch that over time because I assume that they'll probably get a lot of complaints about the game and they'll realize, hey, we probably should do something to make the game a little bit better to win people back. But the game doesn't stop right there, because I was really excited about Zombies to see what that was like. I was anticipating it to be a lot like Outbreak. It is not. It was more like DMZ. The only difference is that instead of enemies, there's zombies, and there are other people in the lobby that you could play with. So like you can squad up or decide to go solo, but you won't be the only one in that game because there's other teams that join the game too. So you're not by yourself. So as you're playing, like they can't shoot you, which is nice, but you can't have that true experience by yourself. So it just felt like a lot like DMZ because you're given a time limit, and then after that time, I'm assuming, I never made it that far, but I'm assuming the gas closes in and then you have to exfil at that point. But it was a pretty big disappointment, especially because that was on the same engine that Warzone 2.0 was on. And similar to that, I had the issue where the graphics were just not loading in properly too. It felt very weird. Call of Duty's got a lot of stuff to figure out. I didn't enjoy the game one bit. I honestly shouldn't have pre-ordered it, but I ended up returning it. They're refunding me my money, which is nice. And the game hasn't been removed from my library so far, so I don't know if I still have MW3 at this point. But if they do have it, maybe I'll play it a little bit more just to see if it's even salvageable, if they have any updates to make the game better. But at this point, I'm pretty content with just staying with just keeping the Call of Duty games I do have and just playing those for another year. That's my take on MW3. I wouldn't recommend keeping the game. It might look better on some of the newer consoles because I'm only playing it on the Xbox One S. But yeah, I don't think it's worth buying. You're essentially just paying for a $70 DLC. Being on a new console, that's not going to fix any of that. So if you guys actually enjoyed the game, great for you. I did not enjoy it, so that is my bit about Modern Warfare 3, my review. But that's going to do it for me. Thanks for watching the video, and as always, I'll catch you all later. See ya.